Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about the possibility of a Hemi V8 return to the Ram 1500. Now, this past week we had the Detroit Auto Show. It's still going on, but we had the media day on Friday. And Motor One, which you can see their article over here, says that Ram CEO on Hemi's return, I'm not ruling it out. So I read about it. I actually added a little bit more to it because we've heard things from Tim before, and we talked about a little more in depth about the Ram 1500. But the interesting thing is Kuniskis isn't ruling out a comeback of the Hemi, but it's not going to happen overnight. There's no way. So when you hear these YouTubers online say, "Oh, it's coming back, he's going to throw it in the truck," there's a lot more to it. And what Tim elaborated on was, that there's several factors that are playing into the Ram 1500. The reason why the Ram 1500 isn't just going to have a Hemi thrown back into it. The biggest obstacle lies with the Ram 1500's updated Atlantis electrical architecture. And Tim said basically it isn't currently compatible with the 5.7 Hemi. So I don't know the whole story behind that, but it sounds like there's going to have to be software changes and stuff like that for it in order for it to be, the 5.7 to come back into it. Another thing is he said about the suppliers. And the reason why we say about suppliers is the e-torque system on the Hemi. Now, a lot of people ask, well, why does Ram, think that the e-torque mild hybrid system, why is it important? Just put it back on, don't even bring it back. Just put the 5.7 in it. The reason why is because, honestly, they need as much, the fuel economy out of this thing as possible so they don't have to pay those credits in the long run. So the e-torque system, even though it gets like 1 or 2 miles per gallon better, depending on the model, it adds up in the long run. So yes, they need that e-torque mild hybrid system to come back to meet requirements. So that 48-volt system isn't currently being made by that manufacturer, so restarting production would require like reactivating supplier lines and re-engineering components to match the truck's new electrical architecture. So there's a lot of reasons, like I said, behind it that we really don't understand, but it sounds legit, like, it makes sense in a way. But what Kuniskis actually said, and this is an actual quote from what he said, even if you say, let's do it, we can't do it right away. And then he said, basically, I didn't say you can't do it, you just can't do it right away. So, very interesting that he kind of, is open about it, but he really hasn't said no, but he hasn't said yes. So, they might be working on something like that, but realistically, I don't know. It would realistically, it would be, maybe a couple years out, at least, before we see the Hemi return. So, the more interesting thing about all this stuff is the fact that why would they put the 5.7 back into this truck? I know a lot of people want a V8. However, the 5.7 is outdated. You look at the engine made its debut in 2003. It got a pretty significant update in 2008. And after that, basically the e-torque system came about in 2019, and it hasn't been really updated since. It's had minor updates and stuff, but nothing big. So when you look at other power plants on the market, the 5.7 really falls short. And people don't, a lot of people don't realize is the Hurricane engines were started development back in 2013. The first time we ever heard about this new inline 6 engine was back in 2013 when they started the program. In that program, with the standard output and the high output, we're supposed to replace the 5.7 and 6.4 all along. And as I've reported before from my sources a long time ago, the Hurricane engines were meant to be in the lineup no matter what. It was the Hellcat engines that were supposed to stay around. So according to my sources, before the whole thing of the merger and what the creation of Stellantis, the SRT stuff were supposed to get the Hemi V8s. And they were supposed to continue on as, like the Hellcat and maybe the Red Eye and stuff, but that was it. We weren't supposed to see the 5.7 and 6.4 for much longer. Now, there were rumors back a few years ago that they were working on a 7-liter version of the 6.4. However, I heard that was scrapped pretty close to, not launch, but the actual development process. They just canceled it out. So the whole development of the Hurricane was meant to be. So what we got right now is what was in the cards all along. The problem is we don't have any V8s left for the higher horsepower trims. So What we're hearing, though, is Ram has been actively working on not just Ram, I should say Stellantis is actively working on a higher horsepower engine, basically a Hurricane engine, to kind of replace where the Hellcat left off. So what we're hearing is a beefier, probably an iron block based 3-liter twin turbo, maybe even bigger turbos, but it's supposed to be around 750 horsepower. So that could still happen. But a lot of people want this V8, but honestly, if you think to yourself, I'm the kind of person who I wouldn't want to see them waste money into, like, pouring money into a 5.7 Hemi, bringing it back into the trucks, and it being obsolete against the competition. We got GM already developing their next generation of small block V8s. Ford's Coyote program seems to be, at least in the cars, has been, like, we've had different versions of it. We've had the Coyote, we've had, the Voodoo, we've had a whole bunch of different variants of it. So why not have Stellantis develop something like a Gen 4 Hemi, like a next generation Hemi, make it really something special, make it, smaller displacement, but make it like dual overhead cams, make it modern. They could do like a 318, which would be kind of cool, kind of a hint back to, the Magnum engines in the LA block, or do a 340, a 5.6 liter, something with big horsepower, like over 500 horsepower naturally aspirated, and then make something where, you got 750, 800 horsepower with twin turbos or something crazy. I would rather see that money spent on something modern than going backwards. And I think a lot of people would understand that. I think we could go a couple years without a Hemi just to have them develop something really unique for the future. So let me know what you think in the comments below. I mean, it's kind of cool that Tim's not ruling it out, but it's not going to happen overnight. He's acknowledged that it's not going to happen overnight. So when you hear these rumors going around, oh, they're coming back with the Hemi and it's going to be in the trucks now, and it's not happening anytime soon. And this is right from Kuniskis' mouth. So, but yeah, leave your comments below. What do you think? Would you rather see the 5.7 come back? Or would you rather see a whole new Gen 4 Hemi? So, I'll take it and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.